My life matters.
We always talk about white people killing black people, but we don't talk enough about black on black crime. We kill each other.
My life matters.
Kansas City is different.
Stuff can happen at a moment.
My life matters.
Say, for instance, somebody made me mad, I do the first thing that comes to my mind.
My life matters.
We just go and just retaliate now, or just get revenge on anything.
My life matters.
I mean, we've got about 170 homicides already in the city this year.
My life matters.
I saw the news, and an 11-year-old girl was shot and killed, and that's all I saw.
What is going on? Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys see everything all right? Glad to be with you all today. Checking out my YouTube. I got it working pretty decent, I think. You guys be the judge. Let me know uh if it is working okay. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm gonna pull up my other side. Let's see here. Don't see anybody yet saying anything. Let me know. Let me know. I'm just checking to make sure everything is good on my end. It looks good. Can you guys hear me all right? Let me know if you can hear me A-okay. If so, like I said, my name is Gary B. Jr., and I am your media consultant. I am here to help you understand some things about Free Show that you may not have known before, because today is Free Show Friday. It's a great day. As who said this? Think it was Broken But Believing says it's 6 p.m. over in Kenya. So I was saying good morning to everybody, but I think the more appropriate thing would be good day. Good day to everybody. Uh, Orlando, what's going on, my friend? What's going on? I'm glad you can hear me okay. Mr. Michael Bird is in the house. Big time Mike is what I call him. We got a couple other folks. Those who have not told me, let me know where you're from. I see uh, Neville from South Africa. I got Brian from Michigan. Who else we got on here? I see Yosu from Faso, Burkina Faso. Where is that at? I don't have a clue where that is. That's pretty cool. Burkina. Uh, Morning in Jamaica. Excellent. What time is it in Jamaica? Are you guys in the East Coast time zone? No. Yeah. Would you guys be on the East Coast time zone in Jamaica in terms of American East Coast? Josiah from Minneapolis, or Minneapolis, I'm sorry. I think I call it Minneapolis. I don't know why. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm excited to be here with you guys today. It's all about the latest update. Teresa's in the house. Good day, Teresa. How you doing? How you doing? But yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I don't know how long we'll go. I don't know if it'll be very long at all, but at the same time, we always are open for questions anytime during the discussion. I want you guys to be thinking about what you're looking forward to the most in the latest 1.4.9 free show update. If you haven't heard about it, it just came out, I believe, overnight, for me at least, right? So I don't know what time it would have came out in Norway where Christopher is, but it's out. It's out for me in terms of overnight is how I look at it. But I've been playing around with it all morning. I'm actually running it, which is definitely not what I recommend for most. If you're looking at getting through a service over this weekend or something like that, don't worry about trying to update or upgrade to it. I had my computer, whenever you do an upgrade or update to any new program, you're going to run into some potential issues with just your computer adjusting to it, is where I call it, right? It's just like it's just a new diet almost for the computer. So my computer had some different things I had to overcome to fix that. I'll try to talk to you guys about that, but it's working great. I don't know that I've got anything that stands out that it needs to be fixed yet, but I'm still going to play with it and see. As with any update, like I said, there's always going to be something that can be improved, but there were so many cool improvements, you guys, so many cool improvements. So we got to talk about that today. But first, I want to go over what happened this week. So let's review, and I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you guys can see that. So this week we had a deep dive into templates. This is something that I don't know that it'll ever get old, but I know I've made a few videos about templates in the past, and this one was all about how to, 3 different ways to make a template was pretty cool. That was something that stood out to me when I was making this video. I was like, there's a lot of ways to make a template. And the last one I didn't know about. So if you are, I think Christopher, the developer, I think he told me about that last one. So I didn't know anything about it. believe it or not, in terms of until he told me that. So I've been doing tutorials and I saw that. I was like, that is the coolest way. So if you want to know 3 different ways to make a template, check that video out. It also talks about some ways that if you want to customize your own templates, some things to look out for, some things to make sure you do. For me, that was a big deal because some of you all have maybe gone to my website and downloaded templates, and I learned it the hard way, right? To where if you start giving away stuff or making things available, even if people are paying for it, especially, you want to make sure it's right. And so I started diving into templates long ago, so months ago, to try to make sure that when I did make this available, that it would work for you guys. And so along the way, I've learned quite a bit about templates, so I felt comfortable making a video about that. And then we did a revisit of the game shows. So last Free Show Friday, we talked a lot about game shows. Someone asked about a way to make a game show to where the questions automatically disappear over the course of time of the timer going on, and then be left with just the correct answer. And so I kind of made a modification version of it. If you can see here, I kind of put some X's over to where they'll start to X out the answers. And so I like that way, which is kind of a play on that in terms of what we came up with from last week from Free Show Friday. And then also just revisiting, because there was another video that came out about initially just making game shows. And I would say it was a little simpler. This one's a little bit more advanced, but I tried to simplify it as best I could. And then let's see here. These are all today, but this is not in order. So let me look and see what else. There was another short video. Yeah, focus mode. And so the focus mode video was one. How many of you guys have ever used focus mode? We got Claude on from Canada. Welcome, welcome, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Glad that you're here as well. Focus mode was a big deal to me because when I first found out about it, I really didn't know what I was doing with it. I was just playing around with it. Now I was just clicking on it. And this was months ago as well. And then I was doing some review of Pro Presenter, which I don't use at all in terms of on a regular service, but I play with it and downloaded it for free, and you can get in and have a watermark over it. So I was playing with it, and I remember looking over the shoulder at a few events that I've worked as a videographer and seeing the folks using Pro Presenter. And when I go into focus mode, it reminds me of what Pro Presenter looks like. And so if you're coming from a platform, well, specifically if you're coming from Pro Presenter, because I think it has a very unique look, then that focus mode is going to give you probably a higher level of comfort with using FreeShow, because it's going to feel very familiar. But also what I like about it is it allows you to not have to worry about accidentally starting to edit something on accident or hitting something that you don't want to hit, because everything kind of shrinks down and all you're focused on is your shows in terms of the presentation that you've got set. So you go into focus mode right after you get done setting up everything, right? So everything is created, everything is in place, all your shows are in order, all your sections are labeled, and all your actions are applied and everything like that. And then it's time for service to start, or your event or your meeting. Then you go into focus mode and you just run the show, right? Or you have your volunteer run the show by hitting the arrows, and you can literally see everything. So it's a really cool feature to me of Free Show that looks like Pro Presenter, but I love the idea of it, that it allows your volunteer or yourself to just focus on what is coming up next and what's going on now. So really cool. John says he's not used focus mode yet. Hey, check it out, my friend. It's pretty cool. Like I said, it's different because the thing about it to me that I like is that I've always used FreeShow without the focus mode. But if I were just a volunteer working in a service, or if I have volunteers working in a service, I would automatically make sure to turn that on. So make sure that you guys check that out. And just as a quick aside, let me show you guys how it looks and how it works. So focus mode is pretty short. That video is really short and sweet. But if you go up to your view, you would go into toggle focus mode, and it would go to something like this, and you would just click that and it will show you just like that. So everything almost goes away. So all of your groupings and all that kind of stuff, you're not worried about any of that stuff, because there's no need for it right now because everything's already set. And then all of your drawer at the bottom, all the tabs, they just kind of shrink down into a little icon, and you just got a full screen of just working with FreeShow and all the project, or all the shows you got. I've only got one show here because this is my countdown show, but it would be all those listed here, and you'll be able to go through them really easily. To get out of it, you go back up to view and then hit toggle focus mode again, and it brings you to the main page or the splash page, and you can go here and get into your shows as you did before. All right, and everything comes back, all of your settings and all that kind of stuff. So I say settings, all of your wording for your tabs at the bottom and all that kind of stuff. So check it out if you want to streamline the look and the feel of Free Show. That's a really cool way to do it, and I love it because, like I said, it gets rid of this here when you're not needing to edit anything. This stuff isn't really necessary. You've already done all that. So really cool feature. Another one of my favorite features. I'm not going to forget this. If you hit Command G in Free Show, you guys got to start using that. One of the cool things about it is if you start searching for something in Free Show, it'll pull up everything that you got in your Free Show media tab, your shows, your overlays, your actions, everything. So if I typed in, I'm gonna type in Friday, right? So I got Free Show Friday. This is actually a style. I got a Free Show Friday 8-1 show. I got Friday notes. I got Free Show Friday countdown shows. These are all my shows that have the word Friday somewhere in there. I don't even know what CeCe Winans says about Friday in her song, but I don't know. Maybe it's got an iteration of FRI, I think is why that's in there. And then let's see, these same way offerings got FRI in it somewhere, and then so forth and so on. But it gives you all that. And then if you were looking for something that was a little bit easier, so let's say, let's do actions. If I were looking for a particular or the drawer to make an action, I can just type in action by hitting, after I hit Command G on a Windows, what is it, Control G, I believe, and it'll give you an option to just start a new action, schedule an action, some videos or tutorials about how to do an action, and then your shows that have the word action in it, along with actual actions that you've already created. All right. So really cool stuff. And this just takes you into the actions tab, as a matter of fact. So, or section of the functions button. All right. But Command G, that has become one of my most favorite features so far. But it's not the favorite of this new update. All right. So the Command G thing, I think it came out during the beta stuff, or it maybe came out in 1.4.8. I'm not sure. Somebody can fact check me on that. I'm not sure when it came out, but the update is out. All right. So what I want to do first from a beginner level, I want to talk about how you can set up your update. All right. How do you get the Free Show update on your computer? So what I would say first of all is if you were to stay in Free Show, right, and you go to your settings, what I like to do is, let's see if it's, I think it's in general. Let's see, activate, clear media, disable. There's an option in here to automatically check or notify you about updates. And I'm just trying to remember where it is. Somebody help me out if you remember. Let's see, show the projects, activate, output. Nope, nope. So it's not outputs, it's not files. Let's see, maybe it's under other. Here we go. So under the other tab on the left in your settings, if you say alert when a new update is available, you can activate that and it'll automatically let you know. It won't update automatically. It's just going to let you know. And then you also have the option, I've turned on this one as well, to alert me when there's a new beta update available as well. So you can turn those on and you can automatically know when a new update is out. Now, if you are wanting it to automatically update, you can turn that on. But again, I recommend that you not turn that on, because unless you're just using Free Show as a hobbyist or something like that, and you don't have it for a real meeting or a real live event or anything like that, then that's fine. That's completely fine. You can work with the latest and greatest without having to think about it. But if you're using it weekly or regularly for whatever the reason, I would keep auto updates off until you start to investigate and research it on your own, but still get alerted, right? Make sure you're alerted when the updates are coming out so you can play with it, test it out, download it, and then run it through its paces, run it through your whole service, see what it's like, run it through one of your most difficult shows. Like for me, I'll get the update like I did this morning, and I just ran my intro and my outro to see what was going on, and I had to make a few changes with OBS and my computer to make sure it was working right. I had to restart it because my computer, I've got a MacBook, and there's a known issue right now where it automatically creates a new host every time. So every time I restart Free Show, it creates a whole new NDI host name. I guess you could say it's a host name, but in NDI, it's running off the network. So my computer changes its host name every time. And so I have to update OBS with that new host name and all that kind of stuff. So that's something that I'm aware of. And they're working on it to try to figure it out. I think that it might have gotten fixed for some. It just didn't get fixed for me on this particular update for whatever reason. Brian says, here's an idea. In a future Free Show Friday, invite Christopher to answer questions or comments, and Gary would host. Don't know if it is possible, but you could promote it ahead of time, ahead of the event. Absolutely. What I would probably do is we could do it on a Free Show Friday, or just on another day. I've always wanted to do like a Media Monday meeting where it's a live show, but it might be like a Media Monday podcast or something like that. And I would love to do an interview with Christopher. I know Michael Bird, he was on with me with Christopher at one point as well. And Christopher sometimes jumps on Free Show Friday to help answer questions, especially through the chat. Video wise, live is a little challenging. I must admit, for me at least, I don't like to go live just because I want to make sure that if it's live, I have a lot more control over what's going on in terms of connections and questions that are going to get asked and things like that. I don't want to put anybody on the spot unless it's me. Like in this meeting for you guys, it's like I don't mind putting myself on the spot, but I don't want to put anybody else on the spot with questions that may come in that they're not prepared for. And so what I might do is I might get a list of questions you all might have for Christopher, and I might record that and then post it as a premiere, and then have a discussion with it on Free Show Friday, and or he can join in during the premiere of it, and we can chat and talk during that time, and or during Free Show Friday through the chat for sure. So I love the idea, Brian. Keep them coming. I like that. So as a beginner, making sure that you turn on the alert when new updates come out. That's a big deal because Free Show, the development team they're on a tear. They actually do a really good job of keeping this program and this software up to date. And so there's always beta versions available. There's always new updates coming out. I would say at least once a month, you're going to see some type of update, and usually it's going to be 3 or 4 times in a month. And that's not a downside to it. It actually is just showing how rapidly it improves, which I love that it's constantly getting better. And this update is nothing short of that. But once you turn on the alert, okay, that's one thing. Now, the other part of it is to get the download. You would go into the website. So you just go to freeshow.app. All right. And then when you get there, you'll see the option that just says download from Mac OS. All right. And that's because I'm on an Apple computer. But if you have a Windows computer, you can select here to download the Windows version. Or if you're running Linux, it'll probably pop up if you got those computers, whatever one you're accessing this site from, it'll tell you that. But if you have an Apple, you would hit, I automatically clicked it, but it'll usually will pop up an option that says, do you have an Intel Mac or Apple Silicon Mac? And you would select that from the options. Okay. Now, if you are a more advanced user or intermediate user, I would say, what I like to do is I would go into this. Let's see, let me get rid of that. Let's close that out. All right. So I would go to the downloads button up here, the top right. And then it'll show you a list of the different ways you can download this. And I always do, let's see here. I do ARM DMG. I always look for the ARM 64 DMG. I'm not sure what the X is, and I'm sure that somebody knows, but I just do the DMG. Oh, that's just the X. Yeah, that's right. That's the same thing. This is just the, like the file download, install version of it. This is the zip version of it, and they're usually a little bit smaller. So you save in a few megabytes, going from one to the other. This was 153. This was 148 when it's zipped up. This one's 143 and it's 147 when it's not zipped up. All right, and so that would be what I would do. And then if you ever need to go back or downgrade back, right, you can always hit this see all releases right below there. So I went to the downloads, and then I can hit the bottom that says see all releases, and you'll be able to see, if you scroll down, you'll see all the, so the 149 had a beta, 3 different betas, versions of it, and you can actually downgrade to that one if you wanted to, and you can hit the assets and you'll see all the different ways you can download it, right? And these are ones I don't even know a lot about. I just know about the one I go to, which is the DMG, and it's the ARM 64, right? And that's for Apple Silicon. And then if you didn't have Apple Silicon, you would do the X64 DMG. All right. And then the same way, you can see all the different beta versions throughout the history of the program. And then you can always go back to the last full version, which is 148. In this case, and you can see that's when we introduced the profiles, which is pretty cool, and then improved the quick search. So I don't know when the quick search came out. It's probably been around for a while, but it's gotten improved greatly in 148. All right. So as a beginner, that's how you would install FreeShow in terms of finding it. All right. If you are looking to download it, you're probably familiar with how to do that. Like I said, I would encourage you to just go through whatever the steps are that your computer walks you through, because it should walk you through that once you get the DMG file, or what is it called in Windows? The EX, is it the EX file, the executable? I think is what they call it. So definitely check that out. All right. Now let's get into my favorite features of 149. All right. And I want to walk you guys through these, the ones that I like. So the upgraded user interface, you can see here, that's one of the top lists in the new features, or one of the top listed new features. All right. So let's talk about the upgraded interface. If I go back to the shows, these little rounded circles here are just clean. I just love that. I love the way those look. And I've got some notes here, but I'm going to go through what I can see up first glance, right? So everything's kind of in its own space. I like the animation that happens. So when I click this down here, this little arrow, it pops out the rest of the options. And it shows you, though, the whole time, it shows you like the most used options. So you can change your view if you wanted to. And hit that, and you also can add in like a timer for the next slide. That's a universal timer, right? And so I love that that's there, and you can also expand it out, and you'll see more stuff, right? So you can add in localization, you can add in some assignable actions and all that kind of stuff, all right? exe file. Thanks, John. Thank you. I'm like, I haven't used a Windows computer in a long time, you guys, so you got to forgive me, but the exe file, right? For those Windows users, right? So the look of it is just different, right? It's a lot cleaner to me. I like the way that feels. If you have a show, let me see here. I think, okay, so if you have a show created or a project created, your actual sections now, if you colorize them, they actually kind of put their own box. This is so sweet. It puts its own color box around that section separate. So this is an orange color section. This is a blue color section. I love that as well. And so if I were to make a new section, for example, let's say I was in this particular part of the show. All right, so you can see that. And if I were, and this is what it looks like if you were watching it, real time, it would look like that, right? In-house. Not a big deal for this situation, but I'm in that part of the show or the project. If I hit new section, it automatically adds a new section right up under that particular part or that particular show. And so I can name that. And let's say, I'm going to say, let's call this closing. All right. I hit enter. It's there just like it used to be. And it's got its default look where it's kind of a lighter gray. But if I right click on that section and just say change color, let's say I want this one to be green. And I hit save, okay? It automatically breaks out, and now it's got its own space, right? It's got its own little territory that it has, and everything that's in there is going to be in that green box or kind of a rounded box, which I love. That's one of my favorite features, actually, in terms of the look and feel of it. They just knocked it out the park. So kudos to you. Great job, Christopher. That is awesome. So the section colors I love. The adding a category while you're creating a show. This is something that I always wanted to see, and I never put in a request for it. I don't think somebody must have. But if you're making a new show, you got the same aesthetic, the little rounded circle here to make a new show. And before, you would be able to select your categories, which was normal, right? You would always be able to select a category, and it would be whatever categories you've already created. But now, when you're making a new show, if you see a category that you don't have, that you want to add this new show in, it gives you an option to just say new category. And now you can just automatically on the fly, make a new category while you're creating your new show, which I think that is super useful, super helpful. Let me know. And as I'm talking about these, I want you guys to tell me which one is your favorite that I bring up or that you've read about on your own. Okay. So these are just a list of my favorites. So adding a category, real time, on the fly, unbelievable. Now, this one is a little bit debatable, but it's a cool update. This one is editing your template defaults. All right. So for as long as I've used FreeShow, I take that back. Probably for the last however long it's been since they added the default templates. And I take that back. The whole time I've used FreeShow, there's always been FreeShow default templates. All right. And then when there was updates to it, they added the lower thirds templates. That was a game changer. But whenever they made the templates, whatever the templates were, and then I remember when he came out with the colorful lower thirds, right? The gradient, I was like, man, that's crazy. But those were always limited to where you could not make changes to them. You could not edit them. So if I go to, I got songs, I got scripture. I'm gonna go to some of these here and I'll pull this way up. All right. And so right now, these are my scripture templates, and you'll notice the brown shield, well, no, not even the brown, just the shield color here, or this little shield icon represents a template. So in the past, if I were to right click on this, it would just say duplicate or delete. Now you can actually edit it and it'll show you up here. This is still labeled as your default template. Okay. You know what? I haven't checked this out. Let me see something. I wonder if I can go here to this one and I go to edit. Okay, yeah, but say it doesn't show the option for it to be your default, which is great. I just wanted to make sure. I was like, wait a minute. And if I right click on it, it doesn't let you make, okay, so this edit option on your template is there. So you can go in here now. And for me, yeah, I know my favorite thing to do with my templates is I would turn on auto size. So I'm gonna turn on auto size now and it saves that. I'm gonna turn on auto size for the meta and it saves that. And so now my template, I don't have to duplicate it and have a second version of it because I would never use the original template. So now you get to modify your template default, okay? And now it can be exactly how you want it to be without having to make a duplicate, all right? And so that's all I would change. And then I would go back to my templates and I would probably go back and do that on all of my, my defaults. So this one with the 2 scriptures, I would right click on that one and edit it. And I would do the same thing. I would select this, scroll down and see auto size. I would turn it on. And this is what I would recommend if you are prone to doing this. Like I said, in the past, you would have to duplicate it. If that's all you wanted to change, I would just recommend you do that instead of making another copy. If you notice, I've got a load of templates that I could do away with if I could just change that one thing on the defaults. But that's it. Now, if you start making other changes to the defaults and you're not comfortable with making changes to templates or customizing them, you're going to run into some issues. So one of the things Christopher made a note of is he recommends that we still duplicate them. All right. So the reason I believe he's saying that is because he doesn't want you to accidentally mess up your defaults. All right. Now you can reset them back down here at the bottom right. If you ever do that, you can always reset your templates back at the bottom right here to reset. All right. So that's a good thing, but really cool that you can actually edit your template defaults now, which I love. All right. I mentioned this already, but the overall user interface is, man, it's unbelievable. Let me just show you guys what it looks like in other areas. So if I go to shows, we saw the little icon here. This one's got like a nice little gradient color to it, which I love. And then it has a little icon pop-up notification letting you know the way you can do a quick command option with it. For me, it's Command N. For Windows users, I'm guessing it's going to be Control N. It's got the same kind of breakout area here. It's got the media, same way. These are broken out and kind of organized in their own space, like we talked about with the sections. And then the same thing, a little animation. Whenever you see this little arrow for more options, it's going to animate out and then animate back in. I don't think it's going to take too big of a load on your CPU or anything like that. I just love that feature being built into it. And it just makes it feel more polished and you can still sort and do all that kind of stuff. But your main options that you would typically probably use are going to be available for you here as well. Now, audio wise, these same way, got the same aesthetic and then the same breakouts. You can see that there. I think, oh, one of the cool things about your playlist now, you can go to your settings and you can go and change the playlist volume. I think that's something that's fairly new that was brought out in one of the betas for 149 and it's there now, which I love. And then for overlays, same idea, same aesthetic, breaking out over here. And we talked about templates already. Now for scriptures, this is really cool. In the scriptures section now, if you have API Bibles, which are online, not downloads, but they're online accessible, right? It's labeled. So you got all your Bibles here and it breaks them out and it shows you your API Bibles. And then you can hit new scripture if you want to. When you do it, it asks you, do you want to do an API or local, which is nothing new, right? And then when you go into it, let's say you want to do API, it brings you to a very familiar screen, okay? If you were to do local, same idea. You hit local, it'll take you into the same familiar screen that you're used to, okay? So nothing's changed there. But in the past, to make a collection, I remember when I first got FreeShow and I was like, you can have multiple Bible versions. That's kind of crazy. And y'all should have seen me racking my brain trying to figure out how to make a collection that shows 2 different versions of the Bible. I couldn't figure it out for the life of me for like, it probably took me like 2 weeks to figure out how to do that. I was messing stuff up. I was changing templates. I just was racking my brain trying to figure it out. And so, and I'm sure there's probably was some documentation on FreeShow, whatever, you know, that I overlooked or something. But in the past, you would hold down Command and you would select 2 Bibles and you would right click on them. Now that doesn't do anything except let you rename them or delete them. because now there's a new section up at the top called collections. All right. And all you got to do now is hit new collection, and it gives you the option to see all your API Bibles, and you simply just check it on. Right. You can check it 1 and 2. You can do 3, 4. I don't think it will, well, unless you select 5, 6, it can let you select all of them. Right. But the default templates, you got let you do a collection of 2, 3, or 4. And so I would pick any 2, 3, or 4 that you want. And then you would just hit create, and it'll automatically create that for you, which, as we've learned, you can't mix the API and local Bibles just yet for collections. So you would go to your local sections, and you'll see a list of all the Bibles that you've downloaded locally that are on your computer or on a hard drive or something like that. And it gives you the option the same way. Check the boxes that you want, and it lets you create a collection. This is one of the most intuitive ways I could have ever thought to do something like this, and I love it. So, like I said, hats off to the team that come up with this. I know there's a lot of folks that go into it. Christopher's the lead developer. That is a really, really cool update that I think is going to make it really helpful for new users, and then intermediate, to advanced users like myself, that I remember what it was like not knowing what that was like. All right. Teresa said, this is a game changer for me. What was it that was game changer for you, Teresa? Let me know. And then John says, when a new update is coming, most probably the defaults are getting overwritten. There you go. That's quite likely, John. And then Claude says, before FreeShow was using the full high bandwidth NDI, now it supports NDI HX. Where do I configure which version of NDI is working, since some NDI readers will not decode every version? Ooh, that's a good question, Claude. I don't have a clue. I have to think about that, because when I go into my settings, let's look at that real quick. So let's have some Q&A time, and let's see if we can figure out something in our settings. All right. Because I did see something about the NDI HX. So if I go to my outputs, which is where I usually see my NDI options, we have frame rates, we got enabled and disabled. That's all we've got. There's nothing new here. Let's see. It turns it off and on, and that just brings it out. It says output screen capture enabled. This may cause performance issues. Okay. So that's there. I don't see that there's an option to change or make adjustments to it. Let's look and see under general, output, clear media when finished, high cursor, activate output screen on pop-up. Nothing there. Let's see. Alert when new beta version is available, enable close confirmation. I don't see anything about that. That's a great question, Claude. I did see something like that. But Teresa says, oh, the section colors, they're the game changer. I agree. Those are really cool. Makes it really easy for you to navigate and use, especially as a new volunteer, whatever, right? So I agree. As for the NDI HX, let's go and look and see what it says about NDI. Well, it just says it's NDI 6.2.1 and HX. So I'm guessing there's probably some type of official handoff or negotiation of sorts to determine which one is needed. And FreeShow just kind of acquiesces and it just adjusts to it. Let's go into the only other place I can think of is under media. And if we go to, I think it's screens, we got an option here for NDI. And that's it. It doesn't give me any, if I right click on that, it doesn't give me any options to change any settings or anything like that. If I right click on that, it just gives me the option to make a new folder. But I don't think there's anything that you have to do manually, Claude, but I could be wrong about that. I'll have to make a note about that, and we'll figure out. I'm gonna put a note. Let's see here. So NDI HX, because I know about the app. On my phone, I've got NDI HX, so I was familiar with that terminology. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was just a lighter version of FreeShow, which is pretty cool. All right, very cool. So the overall user interface, though, I love that. Now, here's another cool piece of it. Okay, when it comes to your outputs, and I'm gonna turn that little spinning thing off. So when it comes to your outputs, you guys, you're gonna notice that there's little dots next to your outputs. All right, so this little dot says it's an invisible window if you hover over it. And this one says, let's see if I hover over that one, it says it's an NDI connection, okay? So this one has a little blue dot. This one has a gray dot. Gray represents invisible window. Blue represents NDI connection. If I had a window that was not NDI and it was not invisible, it would be, if it was sending out, right? If it was actively being sent out, which let me do that. I have to connect some stuff. Let me think about this. Let me connect some stuff. You guys keep thinking about questions you might have. Let me go back to, let's see, please demonstrate how to use Companion Stream Deck to set up shows, not to control the presentation, but to actually build. Like Bible verses and songs. So Companion to build a show? Let's see here, setups. Not to control the presentation, but to actually build it. Ooh, I don't know if you can do that in Companion. I have to think about that one, Brian. But let me connect something real quick. I want to show you guys this feature. I'll have to think about that. How to use Companion to build a show. I like that idea. Look, I love the idea. I never thought about doing it though. All right, let me plug up my plugging up my what's that little device called? The splitter extender real quick. All right. So got that and got that. Let me plug this up. Hold on. Bear with me. I got a little monitor up here. I got a little monitor at my desk that I like to use. So I'm plugging it up and it should come on. All right. And this is plugged up. All right. And so if you're one that actually used that what's that device? The Orion split extender. You would have to get the software. You have to use the software, right? And so the software is called Instant View, I believe. And I'm gonna open that up real quick. Okay, please connect and try again. All right, let's see here. It says I'm not connected. Let me reconnect it. Sorry about that, you guys. Hold on. Here we go. All right. Let's see if it reads it now. Okay, so it's coming up. Now I got a separate window. I'm gonna add a new output real quick. I want you guys to see these cool dots. They're just notification or status dots, I think is what they called it. So I'm gonna go to outputs and let's create let's see what this one is. We'll turn it on and I'm going to pick a style and I'm just going to pick the default. All right. And I'm going to assign this to my other screen, but I need to turn off invisible window and we'll turn off transparent. I don't need it to be transparent. And I'm going to pick this window here. That's the one I just connected. And for this one, I'm going to edit and I'm gonna make this one be an invisible window so that it does not send out anything anywhere. This one already is, which is another cool feature. I don't know if you guys have ever done it, but if you right click on any of your sources up here or your outputs, you can automatically go right into editing those, which that was, Teresa talked about the game changer with the sections. This was a big game changer for me because I don't have to try to hunt because I've got so many different outputs for training and stuff like that I do. I can easily get to the right output immediately. All right, so now if I select, let's go to a song. All right, so I got a song here. If I go to output, I hit this icon here, it shows up. And this right here shows that it is red. Let's see here. If I hover over that, what does that mean? I thought it meant that it wasn't outputting, but it is outputting. So I thought it would be green. But you can see, oh, it says inactive for for this one, even though it is active. That's interesting. So I may have misunderstood what that does, but it does give you a status. It does give you the status icon of it. And I don't think I accidentally hit it. Okay, so if you deactivate it, it'll put a little slash through it, which is pretty cool. And then it'll turn orange. Let's see if I can make it show what that orange is. All right, and then I turn it back on and it goes red. And you can turn it back on and off, right? And so I thought it was going to be green when it was active, but it's showing up red. And if I turn it off, you'll see that it slashes through, which is another cool way to identify that it's kind of frozen or paused or whatnot. And what that does is it stops it from going through other slides. It just keeps it right there on that last slide, which can serve a really cool purpose if you need to for certain things, right? And so then it pops back up and it just gives you a status icon next to it. Let me check the questions here. So how to use Companion to set up shows. I have to think about that one still, Brian. I'm still trying to figure that out. So in September, Claude is saying our parish will have a cemetery mass to pray for the deceased who have gone on their final journey. I was asked to prepare a free show presentation with one slide per person plus their photo. The slide would have their photo, name, and date of passing. Oh, wow. That's an honor to be able to do that, Claude. I'm guessing your thought or your question is, how do you manage that or create that in FreeShow efficiently and effectively, right? So let's talk about that. How would I do that? I would probably put all the pictures in a folder and I would just drag them into a show. But then if you drag them into the show, it's just going to make them into a full slide. I'm trying to think about the best way to add an image along with something else. And you can't put it like into a, because my first thought, since you've got so many of them, to think about making it into a variable. But what I would probably consider doing is making it a variable set. So I would go to functions and let's do that. So I'm gonna go here and I'm going to right click and we'll say new show. All right. And we're going to call this one, what is it called? You called it a cemetery mass. This is my first thought off the top of my head, at least. Let's see it, cemetery mass. All right, we're going to put this in, do I have a training? Put in our training test folder, category. And we'll do empty show. All right. And I'm just going to do a new slide. And on this new slide, I think I would just want it to have the image, but I'll think about that part. Let me think about that. But you said something else. So I got a slide here. That's fine. I would go into my functions and go to my variables. And in my variables, you can do a new variable now. And that new variable is a text set. Now, this is the question I would ask you too, Claude, is how many people with one slide per person plus their photo? Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can approach this. You might be just fine making an actual slide on another, like on PowerPoint or whatever it is, because it seems like that there doesn't need to be a lot that changes with this, or you're not doing anything on the fly. Everything is happening prepared, so you can make it in Canva or something like that and put the images in pretty easily and simply dragging it in and then just export it out as a JPEG and then just put that into a presentation into FreeShow as slides, and you can just reorganize them. Now the problem will come in is if you need to make changes, like not sudden, but on the fly changes, then a text set might be best, because you said you need to put in, let's see here, their photo, their name, and the date of passing. And so this one, we would call this one cemetery mass. And this is my text set. All right. So this one would be name. And then I would make a new variable and we would call this one date of passing. All right. So this is a possible way you can do it. All right. And then once you get that in, you can just go in and put the names in, and then you would just add in a new set. All right. So we got our variable here. It should let us do, let's see here. All right. So I can put anything in there that I want to, and I can add a new set, and it gives you a number 2, name, date of passing, so forth and so on. All right. So you can type that in however you want to in terms of first and last name or just their first name, whatever, I'm guessing it'll be a first and last name. This will create a dynamic value. Now, this is the way I would do it if I needed to have some type of on the fly access, which I believe that's where FreeShow thrives the most, right? And one of the things I hate is if something is misspelled and you've exported it out as a JPEG. You can't fix that, right? If you take it out of Canva or something like that, which I know a lot of you all like to do to custom design things and have some other flexibility, and you probably already have a lot of files stored there in terms of uploads, and you have access to the icons and items library that they've got, which is a really robust library. So I understand that. What I would recommend you do is design that and then make room for it. So I would probably design a Canva layout with pictures individually, and then I would make a space for the name and a space for their date of passing. But at the same time, that's not something you're gonna have to change on the fly, to be honest with you. So I would probably put all that stuff in Canva and just export that out as a JPEG. But you could go here and you can make a variable text set and just add in, if it's 30 people, you can have 30 different sets here. Now, what that does, the only benefit of it is if you end up getting something later on that you did not expect, you can automatically add that person in and they'll be in this text set. Okay. But you still have to make a show for them, right? So you have to get their picture, you have to have their image, which, like I said, is not likely that you're going to have to do that. So the best answer is going to be to just do a generic slideshow with JPEGs, PNGs, whatever that you want to export it out as. I recommend JPEG. And then add that in, drop those in as images into FreeShow and just organize them as you need to without changing their names or anything like that. Then if you wanted to do something that was similar to that, but it was more robust and on the fly, that's where the text variable set will come in, and you'll be able to have that, and you'll see how many people you've got. So I've got 6 names right here right now. Then I would go into my show and I would edit this show. Let's see here. And I would add a text box and I would put it off to the left. Maybe I'll put the name, I'll probably put it at the top. You could design it how you want to. So you can put the name and stuff at the top, how you want to. And then you would just right click in there and you'll put in dynamic value and scroll down to your values you just created. And let's see here, Bible quiz. So cemetery mass, date of passing, cemetery mass name. You can put that in there. Then I can duplicate this. And let's see here, right click, duplicate. So I've got another version of it. Oh, it should have duplicated. I don't know that it did. Let me see. And I have trouble with this sometimes, you guys, only because my mouse is oversized. It's super large so you guys can see it. So it's just hard for me to click it. It's not that hard to do it. It's just hard for me to see it sometimes. All right, so I would delete the dynamic value there. And I would go into another dynamic values and put in the date of birth, date of passing, I'm sorry. And you put that in there and you would make sure these are, fit to auto size and all that kind of stuff. And you would have that, and then you would have an image that you would put in there as well. The image piece, you would just build this out, right? So that's why I say there's no need for it to be dynamic. So the dynamic value piece is really just a nice to have, but it complicates things. So you got to make an action and all that kind of stuff. And then you still have to make room for the image, the media, I should say. You can put that in here and have that down here. And like I said, it would be just easier to do it another way. So I'll make room for my image to be down here, and you can. Now, the only benefit of doing it in FreeShow is that you can, to me at least, is that you can have those dynamic backgrounds, right? So you can add different backgrounds to this if you want to on the fly as you need to. But when you're doing your media, you still have to select the image. So you just create it in here instead of making it in something else, basically. Let's see here. Do I have any pictures? So you put in just a picture. Let's see. There's a picture of me. So you'll put in your picture, and so it will be there. And then when you show it, if I go back down to here, let's see here, you will right click on your variable and you would edit it, and you'll put in the name GB Junior, and I'm gonna just put my birth date in there. And you put that in and you lock it in. And now when you go into your show, you would go into the first one. So this is Cemetery Mass. You would go, it's on 1 of 6 now. And if I go into the show, you would see it show up there like that. And it would be showing the name and the date. And you would customize that to be the size you want and all that kind of stuff. All right. But that's a way to do it completely in FreeShow where you have complete control. Now, the thing you have to do is when you advance to the next slide, okay? So let's duplicate this, for example. You would still need to make a new image. So let's say we go here, we would need to make a different image. And so I'll put this image in. And this would be a different name. So this would be the person number 2. So I'm gonna put in number 2. We'll edit and we'll put this in as second person. And we'll just I'm putting some numbers there and enter, lock it in. And now while that's in there, and somebody said, hi, Christopher's in the house. What's going on, my friend? Hey, Christopher, I got a question for you. Claude asked about, no, not that one. Actually, yeah, Claude, yeah, he did ask about the NDI. Is there a way to distinguish between using NDI HX and NDI, the regular version of NDI, which I think is like 6.2.1 or something like that? That would be a big question. Welcome, my friend. And so going back, so we got this show set up. So I got 2 slides now. One has this, one has that. Now this one's supposed to be the second one. So I'm gonna move it over, and it's got a different, well, it doesn't have a different name on it yet, but it looks like it's the same name. Okay. They look like the same name. So what you got to do is you got to make an action here that actually advances the next variable set. And I don't think you can do it with the slide actions here. Let's see here. Activate with the shortcut, Let's start action. Let me see here. Output, timers, functions. You got all that stuff, but there's nothing that will advance that. So you would have to go in and make a new action by going to your actions and then saying, okay, I want to make an action that will change the, let's say, cemetery text. And then you can go in here and I believe it's an option for it. Yeah, change variable, right? And then down here, you would pick the variable, and I believe I called it cemetery. I'm not sure what I called this one. Game show. Okay, cemetery mass. All right. And then the mode, it just says, do you want to go to the next, the previous, or do you want to have a particular value? And so you would just say next, and then you can actually use that action. So you would drag that on. So this is called change cemetery. So I can close that out, and we say change cemetery text. So I'll go here. And so now when I'm on this one, you can see, and then when I go to the next one, it should automatically put number 2 in. I don't think I put that in number 2. That's just on me. Let's see here, under variables, all the way down to the bottom. Yeah, I put it in as number 4. So that's on me. So let's change that. Let's edit this and put it in the right place. No, it's in there. It's in there, the second person, but we were on number 4. So let me go back. So let's go here. All right. So when I go to this one, you can see it there. And when I go to the second one, it should go to that second option. It's going to number 4 for some reason. I'm not sure why it's doing that. It's skipping right over my number 2 and going to number 4. Christopher, I might need your help on that. It says, I'm not sure really. I think NDIHX is only working for inputs. Okay, not for outputs, but normal NDI is supported at least. That makes sense. Okay, so going back, Claude, with that question, that would be it. So this is not working as expected, but the idea would be the same, is that you would be able to do that and just make it advance through the names and the information. But the best way is to just make a slideshow, export as JPEGs, and go from there. Going back up to Brian's question, to demonstrate, oh, you said because I already have a number 2. Oh, let me see. I didn't put anything in number 2 though, did I? I got something in number 2, but I didn't have anything here. Let's see. I'm gonna put something here. And this is number here. This is here. Well, I'll put this as 4th. And this will make it clear so we can say we know what we got going on. All right. So that's what it should. We'll put any random number in there. All right. So what it's doing now is it's going from first, which is here. And so if I go here, you can see it's going from that one, and it's going to the 4th one for some reason. And I just made it go to the next is what I want. I want it to go to the next. And so my action, I think, is fine. Let's see. Oh, let's see. If I take that out and I go here and we go back to the variables and scroll down, let's go back to the very beginning of the variable. All right. And I go back to my action to see if I hit change cemetery text, it goes to the second person. That's what it's supposed to do. For whatever reason, when I dragged it on, it didn't do that. And this one is set to, let me edit it to make sure, change the variable, and it's cemetery mass, and it should just go to the next, which that makes sense. And that just does that. That's nothing special. So it's working right. I'm just not doing it right for some reason. So if I go back to my variable and we go here to cemetery mass and I go back to number 1, it's there. And when I go to number 2, it goes to the 4th. I don't know why it's doing that. That's crazy, but it should just change to the second one. Okay. You just drag in that next action onto each of those basically, and it would automatically update, and you would have to put in new pictures separately. Like I said, it's a little bit more cumbersome than it's worth. I would just make a separate slideshow, export it as JPEG, and be good to go. As for demonstrating how to use Companion with Stream Deck to set up shows, you got me thinking about that. Let's launch the Companion interface real quick. So Companion is here. All right. And so first thing is, if you've never used Companion, so this is more of an advanced discussion. We've talked about some beginner stuff, how to update FreeShow. We talked about some intermediate stuff in terms of my favorite features. The only other thing I wanted to mention about the favorite features though, project layout. All right, real quick. Let's go back into FreeShow before we get into Companion, because I want to make sure those who are not at that advanced level, it won't go over their head. But if you go back to your projects, even these have been updated in the way that they're laid out. They always were able to kind of shrink down and expand, but they live in their own box. I just think that's such a cool look. So just FYI, right? So you can do that. You can right click on it. You can still, make a new project, new folder and all that kind of stuff. You can still right click on this and you can still create a template and all that good stuff. But they kind of are just a cleaner interface, right? Just that little space, little box or whatever, that little curved feature, whatever it is, really makes it look pretty cool. All right. So I love that. Now, going back, Companion. So those who are not familiar with BitFocus Companion, it is an interface that allows you to, for me at least, the way I look at it, it's an interface that allows you to connect multiple devices, multiple softwares to be functioning from one platform, okay, or one interface. All right. So for me, I use this interface, and it's arranged in buttons. So this button layout in terms of these little squares are going to be the same for everybody. Everybody's going to have squares, but you can dictate how many squares you have and all that kind of stuff. Long story short, I use this particular Companion interface to manage this show. Okay. So if I wanted to go to my review section, I would just hit the review button and it'll pop up at the bottom for you guys to be able to see. It should show the term review at the bottom, but something changed. Let me see something here. Did my NDI local changed again? So NDI live training 2. All right. So you'll see it say there, review. If I go back, I can go to Q&A and it'll automatically change to Q&A. I can just make them all go away and I can click title. Those are just my bottom row of buttons. And then I've got my different topics there as well. So I got how to update. That's just a button that I made. Okay. Now the question is, well, what is that button doing? If I select this button while I'm here, this is where I edit my buttons. They're all active, but this is not an interactive space. Okay. This button, when I select it, it clears the overlays, and then it runs an action that I named FreeShow or FSF title and date. Okay, that's what it runs, and then it waits 30 milliseconds, and then it runs a GB Junior lower third. That's the name of an overlay that I have. Okay, if I go to this one, same idea, but this one runs GB Junior lower thirds number 2. This one, Q&A, it runs GB Junior lower thirds or LT QA overlay. And I just type this information in, but if you go into FreeShow, you're going to see an action called FSF title and date. You're going to see an overlay called GB Junior lower third Q&A. So when you make your overlays, for example, I got some FreeShow Friday overlays. These are all of them here. GB Junior LT, LT2, LT3, figure, QA, review, and title. All right. This is how I literally manage my show. So if I were to click, I'm going to click on the Q&A button on my tablet and watch what happens. It automatically synced up in FreeShow. I didn't do anything in FreeShow. I didn't type anything. I didn't click anything in FreeShow. I'm literally using an iPad here that has that same interface that you guys saw on BitFocus Companion. So that's what Companion is. It allows me to work with FreeShow, but it does something even more, because I can press another button on my tablet and I can completely change something else. And this is not a FreeShow view. This is actually an OBS view now. So I changed the way that my scene was in OBS, all from the same interface or same tablet in this case. And I can still change those lower thirds. So I can say how to update. It shows up there by tapping on my tablet. I'm working with FreeShow and OBS at the same time without any issue of having to use my computer to do anything. Brian's question was, how can we not just use that device or that interface Companion itself to change things in terms of, advancing through or changing overlays and things like that, but also how to build things out, right? That would be interesting. Jason calls it one ring to rule them all. Absolutely. That's exactly what Companion is, right? It literally runs everything. So I use it to also control my ATEM if I wanted to. I just don't have it plugged up right now. So now, is that possible? Let's look at Companion and let's see what the options are that we have. And you all can be the judge, because I don't consider it to be an option to build a show, like to find a scripture, but at a very advanced level, Christopher could probably tell you there's probably some coding you can do to do a search for scriptures and all that kind of stuff. I don't do that type of coding, but there's a way you could probably do that. So let's look and see some of the options we have first, okay? So in FreeShow, or in where we at? Companion, okay? I got options. I got buttons, surfaces, triggers, variables, module settings, and all that stuff. Let's go to variables real quick. All right. Now this variable section is kind of like what we run into in, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not even letting you guys see my stuff. Okay, here we go. So the link to this Companion app. So the link to the Companion app is, that's a good question. I don't know the link to it. Let's see. I'm gonna just type it in. BitFocus Companion. And it's just called Companion. So it's just bitfocus.io/companion. When you go there, it'll bring you here you would download it to your computer, and it runs. For me, it runs in my top bar, and then I can launch that GUI, and that GUI runs on the internet. So I launch it on the internet and it pops up. Okay. So that's where it is. There's a video about it. You can go to my channel. I don't know how long ago it was I made it, but it does show you, I believe, how to start it up or set it up. And what I did was I actually used a video from another YouTuber that I just referenced. And that YouTuber really went into in depth on how to walk through the full setup. So I didn't, instead of me recreating what he did, I just point you to his video, but I also walk you through how that interacts and connects with FreeShow and how to make some buttons and stuff like that. So just do a search. I think I got a channel for that, a playlist. Let me see. FreeShow BTS. Yeah. So BitFocus Companion. I got 4 videos that highlight BitFocus. So that's where I would go first. I would go to that playlist on my channel called BitFocus Companion. All right. Let's go back here. So in here under variables, we got all kind of variables. They got custom variables, internal variables, OBS, ATEM. These are ones that I've got. So I've added an ATEM module, I've added the OBS module, and I've added a FreeShow module. Okay. Or connection. That's what's the very first page. That's what you'll learn in the other videos. So I'm not going to go into that too much. But under variables, this is where you'll probably see some cool stuff. So if I go to internal, for example, I can make a variable that shows me the IP address that I'm on, or the internal day of the week, the date and day of the weekday, I should say, the month and all that kind of stuff. And I can make a button show these particular options, right? So for me, I've done that, but I made one that shows the time. I've made one that shows my OBS usage in terms of kilobits per second. So I'm streaming in OBS right now, and it's going back and forth between, actually, no, that's not, I don't think that's my stream rate. Let me double check, because that's fluctuating quite a bit. That is, yeah, that's fluctuating a lot. It's not fluctuating that much in OBS. So I'm not sure what that is, actually. I got to think about that. Let's see. This is, yeah, it's my OBS kilobits per second. Yeah, it's fluctuating there, but it's not fluctuating that much in OBS. So this is real time, like a lot. It's not averaging it out probably, but in OBS, I see it averaging out, and it fluctuates maybe once a second, but it's around 14, 97, 15. This is going all the way up to 20, which is kind of crazy. All right. But those variables are there. In FreeShow, we've got variables as well. And here you can show your active layers, right? So for me, I'm using background, slide, and overlays. And active styles, I'm using default, and live training too. And that's all in FreeShow on my outputs. You also can show if there's an active countdown. It says audio countdown, audio duration, audio time, title. And this is just showing you how long your audio, has to play, and so forth and so on. You can put a button on your companion that shows that information. Okay. The name that the show that we're in, it can show the show that you're in if you wanted to in here. It does not make any changes to FreeShow in these variables. It just shows you what FreeShow is doing. Okay. And so I'm saying that to say, I want you to see the options that I can think about that would give you something. It doesn't necessarily answer the question completely, but I want you to see it. All right. Let's see, a FreeShow timers. So it shows a list of all of your timers. It shows you their status. This one is stopped. Let's see, is that 15 minutes? This one is paused. These are some of my variables. Let's see, a Bible quiz seconds. No, that's another timer. These are all just timers. Let's see what else we got. I got a load of timers, you guys. I got all my variables, so you can literally see your variables here. This doesn't allow you to interact with FreeShow. It just shows you what FreeShow is doing in terms of what the variable is, right? Let's see here, variable answer. So it shows you a list of all the variables, and then video and all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing. Now, for buttons, let's go back into buttons. Now, the buttons can do things, right? Now, the button piece is pretty cool because there's a button now that allows you to run an action. And so if you make an action that does build something, then it'll do that. Okay. But you're creating that action yourself. So let's see here. I'm gonna make sure I'm keeping up with you guys. Jason says, wow, how to get the link? Okay. I will look for that. And then Big L, what's going on? Do I have to have the certain type of software like Microsoft in order to use BitFocus on a tablet? No, for you to use BitFocus on a tablet, what I'm using is actually just a web browser. So I'm just in, let me show you guys what it would look like, because you can do it on a computer as well. I made a module, I believe. Let me see. If I go to modules, no, I didn't make a module. That's just those FreeShow and all that kind of stuff. Those are the modules I made. It's not I don't think it's a Surface. Oh, here we go. Down at the bottom, interactive buttons. All right. So if you go to interactive buttons, you can go to an option that's called web buttons. And these will actually do exactly the same thing as I'm doing on my tablet. So I can click on this one. I don't know what I'm on right now. If I click on that, it'll change it to Q&A. Click on that, it'll change it to favorites. And this is just the internet. So I'm on Google Chrome. So you just need a web browser to control your companion, okay? On your tablet or on a phone. You can do the same thing on those. All right. And let's see at the top here, you got an option for settings, and it allows you to make some adjustments to the pages and the columns and all that kind of stuff. I don't do any of that at all for what I use it for, but you could do that. And then if I go back, they got this other option called emulator. Okay. And so I made an emulator just called FreeShow, so that when I go into my tablet, I just type in this IP address, well, that IP address, the emulator IP address, and it allows me to select this particular one. So it's still on the browser. It still has to be on the same network. So that's the other part. This is running on the same network as FreeShow, or if you're using OBS as OBS, if you're using your ATEM, it has to be on the same network altogether, and they just talk to each other, okay? And so I could literally stop my live from here, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to get close to that button, but I can go over there and hit that button, and it'll stop the live feed or the live stream from OBS. I can go down here and just make it show my title, and it'll automatically update, okay? So this is all variations. All you need is a web browser and an IP address, and it'll give you both of those. All right, so I can dismiss this and close these out. These are just tabs. All right, and so that's how you would get to those, Big L, on your tablet. So you just need a web browser. You can use Safari, you can use Edge, I guess. Is that a thing still? Microsoft Edge. I use Chrome quite a bit, so you can use Chrome, obviously. But your buttons are what you create. All right, so this is where you have your flexibility. Now, let's edit a button that I don't use very much. I don't use this clear slide button very much. And templates, I don't even know what that one does. Let's see, what is this? Oh, that is my title. No, that's the figuring out FreeShow. I want to keep that one there. Okay. So clear slide. Okay. Right now, this one, when I press it, the press action is clear a slide. That's what it does. It just does the clear slide action. So if there's slides active, it'll clear them out. Okay. In terms of text, I don't necessarily need to do that. So I'm going to change this button. All right. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to just throw that in the trash. All right. We'll delete that. I'm going to call this a FreeShow Friday test button. I'm just naming the button so I don't forget what it is. I put best test button. All right. And notice it automatically updates what the button looks like. And that automatically shows up on my tablet because it's all on the same network running through the internet, or through my network, I should say. But I don't have any actions here. So I can hit this little red folder and it pops up a list of all those connections I made, all those modules that I have. And so I can say, let's go to FreeShow. Here's what you can do with your buttons. This is what your buttons can do in terms of the way they interact. All right. So they can audio seek to time. Right. So I can select that. And what it does is it gives you seek to a certain number of seconds. So you can skip up in a sense. OK, if you want to, you can say 10 seconds, let's say. Right. And so if I were playing audio, which let me see, let me go to FreeShow and play some audio. And I haven't tested this, so this will be interesting. So if it's skipping around, just forgive me, you guys. I'm going to go to some music. And let me go to OBS because I don't want this to be too loud for you guys. And okay, that one's all the way down. That's fine. Yeah, we'll keep that down. I'm going to start playing this music real quick. I'm going to turn it down quite a bit for you guys. I'm going to turn it down for me too, so it's not coming through my microphone. All right. So I got music playing. When I press this button on here, the one we call FreeShow Friday button, test button, it should skip up 10 seconds. So let's see. Yep. So I press it and it just keeps. Well, I think it may not be skipping up. I think it's just going to the 10-second mark. So let's look on here at FreeShow. Yep. So if I test it, press it again. Yep. So it takes me to the 10-second mark. That's what it does. It seeks it. It doesn't skip forward. All right. So it's almost like a DJ mix, I guess. You can make like a mixing table, which would be kind of cool. All right. So it does that, right? That's what that does. So I can control FreeShow that way. That's one way you can control it, with the seek seconds. I've never used that before, but that's an audio feature. So I can trash that. We don't need that one. And I just delete that off of there. I still got my test button. I just add whatever I want to it. So we got change audio volume. So I can change my audio volume with a button. Change a transition if I want to, right? So if I hit change transition, it says, okay, well, text or media, it lets you pick, and I can pick text or media, and I can make it be fade, cross, fly, scale, all the different options you have in FreeShow. You can make that button do those things. So it can change that feature or that setting in FreeShow. All right. It can do that. I don't want to do that, but that's an option. All right. Go back in there. I'm just highlighting some ones that stand out that aren't easy to explain verbatim or with words. Clear background, clear audio. Those are pretty easy to understand. Custom API meshes. Now, this is the one where you can have some flexibility. This is the one this is Christopher's world. And in his world, APIs are a thing. In my world, API doesn't mean much. All right. And so you can make a custom API to FreeShow message that is not added specifically to companions. So if you wanted to customize your button to do something specific in FreeShow, you can do that. All right. And then they've got the custom variable. Now I don't have, so if I select this custom API, what it does, it says, okay, what's your API ID and the JSON value? All right. Look, I go, what's his name? Cobby Lame. The guy, the kid is, I don't know. You know, he just, what are we doing? What are we doing? I would be saying, I don't know what's going on. He does it like, this is an easy thing. But this is what you would need to put in there. And you can make it do whatever you want. So you can customize an API that will make a show, put in this, put in that, and does that, and all, whatever you want to do. Now, I'm not that skilled at that at all. But what I am skilled at is making actions. And you guys know I love to make me some actions, right? So if I go down, there's an option here that just says run action by name. Oh, this is a joy. So I can run an action by name. All right. So now the question is, what's the name of the action? That's all it says. What's the name of your action? So I can go into FreeShow, go to functions, go to actions, and just make an action do something, right? So I've made one that does fireworks, right? So if I press that one that does fireworks, let's see what happens. Boom. We got fireworks, right? So it's interacting with FreeShow to do something. And I made that action do that, and I made it go away at a certain time, but that's what it does. So if I go here to my fireworks action, this is one, and then I got the fireworks 10 seconds. Let's see which one I put in as my bit focus button. So I got fireworks button here that I just pressed, and it's just called fireworks. All right. So if I go to fireworks action and I edit it, you'll see all it does is it starts an effect. That's it. It starts an effect. So let's go to our overlays where our effects are, and let's look at it. So I got fireworks, and it just goes for 5 seconds because I put a duration on it. And all I did to do that, I just put a right click and I hit display duration, and it shows up for 5 seconds. I can hit it again, and it'll be there, and it'll run, and it'll just go away in 5 seconds. It's just like me going into FreeShow, going to effects and clicking this, but I just made a button for it. All right. So Companion can do that. And that's pretty easy, right? You just create the stuff you want and then tell Companion, hey, do this that I already did. Do this what I already created, and it'll do it. So that's one way to run your actions. Now, I've got other actions in FreeShow. So I've got an action right now. Let's see here. I've got some, let's see here. FreeShow. There we go. FreeShow Friday actions. So I got all kinds of stuff. So I got a FreeShow intro action that'll actually it'll start my intro for me. Okay. I got one that I made called FreeShow outro. It'll start the outro for me. So in Companion, I can just start the show. I don't have to control it. It's a video, so it doesn't really have to be controlled like you were asking about, but you can make an action that creates a project, I guess. Let's see, if we do a new action, let's say, I'm just call it project for now. And I'm going to say choose an action, and we will do one that is not common. So you can make it open a project, and then you can make it, this is just stacking up. This is kind of like what you're doing with Companion, where you can select, okay, I wanted to open a project. Okay, well, what project do I want to open? I want to open, you just pick one, right? So I'll open up the Game Show Lab. All right. But I wanted to do something else. I wanted to open up the Game Show Lab, and I wanted to, let's do start a show. Now, I don't even know what shows I got in my Game Show Lab. Let's see. I'm guessing I got Game Show Beta 3 in there. All right. So I wanted to open it and do that. And then I wanted to, let's say you wanted to change your output. Let's see, where we at? Where's output? Change your output style. You can make it do that all from this one action. And then all you would do is name that action, which I called it project, and go into Companion and just say, hey, run this action called project. And then FreeShow will do all that stuff that you set up that action to do. All right. You can make those be individual actions if you want to. And if you did that, then you would go into Companion and you would just keep adding in multiple actions. So basically, I'm going to call it this. Companion, it literally is a way for you to run actions that involve the programs that you've got it tied to. It's just like actions in FreeShow where you can make it have a wait time. You can make it wait 30 milliseconds and then do this next thing and then wait and do this next thing or do these. And it does them in the order that you labeled them out in the action. And it's pretty cool. It's really cool, actually. I love it. I love it. Let's see here. Let me make sure I don't miss anything. Jason says, oh, I didn't know FreeShow had APIs. I need to look into that. I code lots of APIs already, so that can be very useful. Oh, man. Jason, you look, you are the API man, and your name is Jason. That's crazy. All right. And that's the coding or something like that that's used. Let me show you. Let's see, FreeShow. Let me just go to FreeShow. If we go to, I think it's under resources. No, maybe not. I think it's under docs. Okay, here we go. Yeah, under resources, the FreeShow API. Okay, so this is specifically for you, Jason. And you hit FreeShow API, it'll bring you to all these different actions, and it gives you the local host. The first value is the action ID, right? For example, there, the value in the black box is the data you can pass with the action. This all makes sense to Mr. Jason and maybe a couple of the other folks. It doesn't make any sense to me. But and then it says this question mark means that the value is optional. That icon, I don't know if that's an L, or I'm guessing it's probably just a bracket, like a divider thing, means or, and then any is not specified here. All right. All right. So now you got project actions. You can do an ID select, an index select, a name select, name project item. You can do shows, change layout, set the plain text, set the show. So Brian, you can change the text style of your show. You can change and rearrange the groupings of the show. Set a certain template for your show with these APIs. Presentations, obviously the forward and back, right? But then you can also, let's see, index slide, select slide. So you can actually pick a certain slide by the name or by, I don't know what select means in this case, but yeah. Let's see, start slide recording. So you can start a recording with your slides, and then you got all the clear options. Media. Now this is where it gets interesting. You can actually do a start camera option API to start a certain camera in FreeShow, which is pretty cool. These are all my cameras I've got connected to my computer right now. And then start screen, same way, overlays, all kinds of options. So Jason, have a ball. All right. Let's see here. He says, I already have a script that extracts the song names and scriptures from our weekly bulletin. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's serious. I don't know what that, so it extracts them and does what? Because what you're doing, Jason, well, you got your weekly bulletin, which is cool, but you might be interested in looking into something called Chums, right? Chums is a church management software that's created by the same team that makes or that manages FreeShow, and it's called Church Apps. And what it does is it allows you to organize your services and all that kind of stuff. And then it syncs up with FreeShow. So it puts all that list of stuff in FreeShow and it makes it into a project for you, right? So it's ministry solutions, right? So ministry solutions, if I click that, it shows you this church management software, improve your workflow. You can do this one, the B1, which is, this is the hub. Let me remember what this, okay, yeah, includes web design. So this is like the website for your church, right? It allows you to have the free mobile app and iOS, Android that provides users with easy access to tools and information for your church. So you can literally customize your own church website / app with B1 Church. Let's see here. Children's ministry coaching. That's pretty cool. Worship service presentation. This is FreeShow. Technology consulting. You can contact them. There's Mr. Michael Bird right there. He was on here earlier. He may still be on here, but that's a church apps overview. But this one right here, this is the church management software. When you talked about syncing up your bulletin, you can do quite a bit. You can keep up with attendance. You can keep up with who was in certain groups and meetings. You can communicate and share different projects or different assignments with different folks and different teams with this program. It is robust. And it even, like I said, it allows you to sync up with FreeShow with your order of service, right? So if you make a Chums account, you can go into connection and you'll see an option here for Chums. And it allows you to sync certain categories of your shows, right? And so these are different categories I got for my shows. And I got one called songs that I sync up with chums. And then it automatically creates one called chums that you have. You can sync that up as well. And it is a full church app. It's not just a presentation app. It literally manages the inner workings of your church in a really concise and clear way for you to have people work together and to share information, which is really cool. Let's see here. Item actions, time until. So Bicardo Music says, hello, how do they work? And based on what he says, here's the item actions is what he's talking about. So time until show and time until hide overlays. And let's see here, item actions. Where did I see that at? Time until show and time until hide. Was that in the APIs? Let me see, overlays. Okay. So let's talk about item actions. And I think you're talking about scheduled actions in FreeShow. Let's go back here, I think. And Bicardo, let me know if I'm doing that right or talking about that right. So if you go to calendar, for example, and you can do a schedule action, right? And so a schedule action allows you to literally put in a certain time, a date, and so forth, and duplicate it. You can see here, I've got a start show action that happens every Friday at 10:55 a.m. Eastern time. You'll see it here. And it's the FreeShow Friday countdown show. I run that on here. It's a scheduled action. So it automatically starts. As long as I have FreeShow open, it'll start running that at 10:55 automatically. All right. So that's how that works. You said time until show, time until hide for overlays. Let's talk about the overlays, all right? For the overlays, a little bit different. If you make an overlay, let's see, I got some timers here. I got some visuals. These are all, I just play around with this stuff all the time. So I got all kinds of stuff that I just haven't deleted or anything like that. Let's do, I'm looking to see if I got something that's a little bit more telling. I don't have anything that's really neat, but let's do, I got effects. So let's do this one. Let's do this one here. So this logo circle, I got two of them. I got a high logo circle and a regular logo circle. I can right click on this particular overlay. Okay, it's actually an effect, but it's an overlay for all intents and purposes, and hit display duration. And you just literally change it by the second. You can make it be up for 10 seconds and then it just goes away after you select it. 10 seconds passes, it just disappears. All right. And if I hover over these, they just kind of show you what's going on. They're not actively doing anything. And this one, it shouldn't be selected. Let me see. There we go. So when I select it, it pops up and it shows up right there. That one was actually tied to a combined overlay, right? And I made that, I think I called it logo. Look, let me see here. Let's see what I called it. Motion logo high, right? So I made a motion logo. So if I select this action, it shows up there. Now, let me see if I edit it. I don't know how long I kept it up there. Text overlay, start overlay. What I would do is, so I've got a start effect and then I've got a start overlay, right? So both of those are there. The effect, if you notice, it just went away. The special effect went away because I had it go on a 10-second timer. I would do the same thing with that overlay for my logo. So I would go to, I'm guessing it's under visuals. I'm not sure where I put my logo. Oh, here we go. It's under logos. All right. And so I could right click on this one and do a display duration, 10 seconds. Let's make it be the same. So now I can close that. I'm going to clear my overlays out. So all my titles and everything are going to go away. But if I go back to my functions and I go back to that action I made, the motion logo high is what it's called, and I turn that on, it'll run. And this is something you can put for your church logo, obviously, or maybe it's a speaker title or something like that, or an event coming up. You can do that and it'll just go away on its own after 10 seconds. That's a really cool feature for me that I like. And that's how you do it. You just make your overlay, make your effect, and then right click on it and select display duration. And that'll make it change to disappear at that certain time, if that makes sense. Let me know if that's what you were asking. I see you said item actions, time until show, and time until hide. That's what that is. And you said overlays. So that's how they work. But like I said, you create them however you want to. When you do a new overlay, It's just a new overlay. Let me go back. Let me pull up my Q&A stuff. You guys can see that. All right. But it's just a new overlay that you create. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I'm getting an error message on YouTube. Let me see what OBS is doing. I'm showing like I got a strong signal, so let me know. Let's see here. It says you guys might be experiencing some buffering or something like that. I don't know if that's happening or not, but hopefully not. But hopefully that answers your questions. What other questions do you guys have? And my question to you guys is, which of these updates, okay, which update is most exciting to you, right? Which one is the most exciting? We talked about the new user interface, right? We talked about the category updates. Excellent. Thank you, Entertainment PC. I'm glad you guys can hear me okay. Is it choppy? Is it visual? Can you see it okay too? Or is it choppy on the visual side of things? I'm curious. All right. And so we talked about adding a category while you're creating a show. That's a really big deal for me. I love that. So you can make your custom category while you're making a new show, which is really cool. And then we talked about section colors to break out your sections to look really nice. I think Teresa said that's going to be a game changer for her. Editing templates, defaults. This one's really cool. It streamlines the amount of templates you have so you don't end up looking like me with, I don't know how many templates I have, you guys. Let me see, templates. I got 161 templates. Part of this is because I do make them make them available on my website. So if you've not been to my website, GaryBJr.com, make sure to check it out. You can see all the templates that I have available for there, but I've also made some and played with them. And I just didn't release them because I don't feel like they were up to par, but I do like to make templates and make them available. And I say up to par. The thing I like about it was it was lagging when the effects were running. Oh man, that's a bummer. Hopefully it's not lagging anymore, but let me know if it is. I'm still getting the same error message on my end. So I don't want to refresh my YouTube screen, but because I don't want to interfere with that. But yeah, it's showing that same thing right now. But the what were we talking about? Oh, the lower thirds and any templates that I have on my website, you can get those. Some of them are free and then some of them are not free. So feel free to support this channel by getting some that aren't free, but also getting some that are. That would be something I get a great deal of joy out of both, seeing folks be able to use it. But the new template defaults are really cool. Okay, so there are new template lower thirds that I love them. Actually, I like them more than the ones I made. These are the ones you can find on my website. They're kind of boxy, but the new ones, let me see if we do all. I'm gonna call Christopher out. These are the ones Christopher designed, I believe, or if he didn't, somebody did on the development team. But let me get to some real quick. I'm sure they call it scripture. I call mine's LT for lower third. All right, so here's some here. So these are the scripture lower third for 2. This is scripture lower third for 1. And now you can just right click on it and you can edit it. Okay, and the only thing I would change if I were going to edit it is I would select here and I would make sure, actually it's already set to auto size. So it'll automatically size and it'll fit just fine. If you want, let's see, so this right here is your what's it called? Your padding, that little blue box. I would make sure that this box, the padding or the actual box itself doesn't go past that padding. That was something for me that I learned. So I would select this and I would just arrow it down to go just below where that padding is. And you got to kind of eyeball it, but the padding stops there. And that box, this orange box, is not too far off from there. All right. So that's what I would do if I were going to update or change that logo, that template, and it would update it right there. Okay. And then it will save and it'll still be a default. It'll just have that to where your text, if it's a long scripture, it won't run over. Let's see here. For beginners, it says, do you have a variable for a bailout if things go south? Yes. If things go south in the middle of your show, you don't need a variable. You just need to hit clear all. That's what I would do. I would just hit that, just get everything out the way, and it'll make the screen go black, but it doesn't show anything you don't want to show. All right. And then once you're ready, you get resituated, you get to the right show, you go into your projects, you're finding the right show, and You get it ready, then you just click on it and it'll pop right back up and you'll be able to have your shows how you want to. That would be my bailout option. When it comes to variables, the challenge with the variables is, yeah, Jason said, I love Clear All. Yeah, Clear All is your best friend. And I say that because I know that some of the ministries I've worked with, one of the first things they thought to do was to go up here and stop the presentation. And that's the last thing I would do. I would never stop the presentation. You don't need to with FreeShow. It's a fluid program. It's designed for live presenting, so you don't have to stop anything in order to make changes. But you can clear everything out and keep it moving and work on the back end and get everything situated and put up what you want. All right. But the variables are unique because the variables have to be not they don't I don't think I think they could be numbers and text, but I don't think they can be images or anything like that. And so when you're doing a variable, they're good for controlled areas where you want to put text, right? So like for example, when I was working on that game show idea, I made a game show A, B, C, and D thing because I wanted to, this is actually an action, but let's go here. So for the game show idea, I made a variable to show the questions and the answer options, right? So if I right click on this one and we hit edit, this is a really cool way. So variables are just designed to really have a control space to type information in. If you have your variable set up, right, and you don't want it to be seen, on the text edit, there's no way to really clear it out, right? So that would be something that I would say would be the only thing. And Christopher, if you're still there, that would be one thing to consider is there a way that we can make this text edit go away, like not be seen? Let's see, you can edit the tag, you can filter the tag, but you can't turn it off. Like I can turn that off. That would be the only thing I would recommend. But right now, there's no way to use a variable to save anything or to for a bailout. All right, if things go south, but you can. Oh, I take that back. If you have variables in the text, you can just hit the slide and just say clear slide, and it'll clear out the text. That would be the quick way. If you have these text sets, I'm sorry, variables, you can do that. But if you just have regular variables, you can just turn them off and on. Okay, so you can turn them off and on. So right now, for example, let me see, am I showing any? So if I turn on that variable there, you guys can see that up there. If I go here and I say title, it says 1.4.9 update. If I turn it off, it'll just go away and it'll take out that part of the variable. You see that? It just took out the title. I can put it back and then it'll put it right back in there. All right. So to get rid of all of it, you would have to clear the slide out. Or in this case, it's an overlay. So I put it inside of an overlay. So I would have to clear the overlay and it'll clear all that out. Totally up to you. What other questions do you all have before I let you go? I know we've been on for quite a while. Thank you guys for joining. Hopefully it's been something that has made some sense for you. I hate that the internet is acting up. Not sure what's causing it, but hopefully we're good to go for what you guys need to understand. And if there aren't any questions, I don't see any right now. Like I said, it could be because, let's see here, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain stream. The crazy thing is it looks like it's solid, but it's saying that it's not. All right. Okay. Oh yeah, somebody said they love clear. I'm gonna try to refresh to see what happens here real quick. Hold on. All right. So it says the excellent connection now. That's good. Oh wow. It's showing a whole. I wonder if it's just like I wasn't connected or something crazy because it showed a whole different setup. All right, cool. I was able to see your text, you guys' chat, which is great. That's the most important thing. But with that being said, you guys, hopefully you have a great rest of the day. If you're looking to have some hope infused into your day and you got time to spare, maybe you're about to go to bed, depending on where you live, check out my new video documentary. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but as a brand or media consultant, one of the things I love to do is I love to bring value by raising visibility and exposing organizations and missions and things like that. This is my second documentary. I made one in when I went to Kenya a few years back, and it was called Couture Farms. You can check that one out on, I know it's available on Amazon. to rent or to buy. And then the latest one I just came out with is called Our Lives Matter. And it is looking forward to Christopher's API live stream. That's hilarious, Jason. Yeah, he's the man with that. But it's called Our Lives Matter, and it's a documentary, and it's about hope in the city I grew up in called Kansas City. Right. So if you're looking for something like that, looking to see some young people do some cool stuff, please check it out. Let me see where you can find it. The best place to go actually to find it is go to my website. Let me see here, GaryBJr.com. Because I want it to be as simple and easy as possible. So you go ahead and just go to documentaries at the top. Most of you guys are probably used to just going to my products page, which is cool. But if you go to documentaries at the top and then select down at the bottom, not the bottom, in the middle of the page, you'll see Our Lives Matter. You can hit watch now. And I would love after you watch it to leave a review. It'll have you make an account on IMDb, which is like an international music or video database, a movie database. And then these are some trailers, right? So this is the Couture Farms trailer. This is Pastor McDowell. He's the one that gave me this cool Kenya bracelet, which I love. And this is Dr. Vanessa Battle. She's actually the leader of this organization that helps pastors in Kenya start farms or create farms to sustain their communities and their ministries. And then this is the preview or the trailer for the other documentary with young people. My goal is for this to really benefit the organization that works in the inner city of Kansas City. And for anything that I can do to help is what I can do. And this is one of the ways I believe is going to be beneficial for them. So people all over the world can be watching and learning about them and just supporting the cause, right? So all the proceeds from this, I've partnered with them that said, hey, everything that I make, if anything, right now it's not anything, but half of that is going to go towards their organization. So if you do watch that video, like I said, go up here to watch now. It should take you to a website, and you hit continue to destination, and it'll take you into the documentary right away. And you can just play the documentary. And it's a really cool documentary from what I've heard from others. I know for me, when I edited it, it was difficult to edit. I cried a lot. So you may shed a tear or two, depending on how it hits you. But it was something that was very real to me in the city I grew up in an organization that I love and support, and seeing them have a heart of Christ to serve and bring hope to young people is unbelievable. All right. So with that being said, have a great rest of your day. And if you need some hope, check out Our Lives Matter. Thanks, Christopher, for being on. Thanks, Mike, for being on, and all of you all from all over the world. It's been a blessing to be a part of this community. Hopefully you continue to learn more about FreeShow in a way that makes sense and is helpful and fruitful for your ministry. We'll talk more in the future about some FreeShow Friday stuff. I got some other things that I'm working on coming down the pike as well. Some exciting news with some live streaming stuff that I'm working on to give away. And I'm gonna probably give it away like on a certain Friday on FreeShow Friday. So stay tuned for that. And I'll give you more details as I get them. All right. Talk to you guys later. Have a great rest.